The winter of 2013-2014 has seen an enormous influx of snowy owls along the eastern seaboard. There have been sightings from Maine to Florida, and a snowy owl was even sighted in Bermuda. I live in the Washington, D.C. metro area, and there has been an unprecedented number of snowy owl sightings here. On the afternoon of Friday, January 24th, a snowy owl perched on the Washington Post building about 1 story off the ground so that people inside the newsroom could look down on it and people on the street could look up at it. Before February 5th, I had seen a few snowy owls this winter in Northern Virginia. I saw one from a distance at Manassas Regional Airport, and I twice got distant views of a pair of snowy owls at National Airport near where I live in Arlington. But on February 5th, I was able to get a much closer look at a snowy owl perched on the corner of a department store roof in Springfield, Virginia, which is just outside the Beltway, about 11 miles from where I live. The reason this video is entitled Snowy Owl Inaction is that I did not see this owl display any significant action. The bird remained perched in the same spot for the hour and a half I was there. The owl's feet remained stationary, and the only movement involved the turning of the head. The influx of a species such as snowy owls is known in the birding world as an eruption. An eruption occurs when a lot of members of a particular species expand beyond their typical range in a season. Often, it occurs when there is a shortage of a primary food source. For instance, last winter, the Washington, D.C. area had an eruption of finches called crossbills, perhaps because of a deficient crop of seeds from pine cones. While snowy owls sometimes come further south because of a decline in the population of the lemmings who comprise a major part of their diet, it is believed by many that this year's eruption might have been caused by a high population of lemmings during the snowy owl breeding season. So many young owls hatch successfully that they might be having to disperse farther afield to find food. One now seldom hears the word eruption used by people other than those talking about birds. It comes from the Latin eruptio, which literally means a breaking in or an invasion. The rupt part comes from the Latin rumpere, which means to break, as in the word rupture. One of the only non-bird contexts in which I have ever come across the word eruption is in The Outline of History, written by H.G. Wells. In discussing the people in ancient Egypt, Wells writes, "They possessed a system of picture writing almost as developed as the contemporary writing of the Sumerians, but quite different in character. Possibly there was an eruption from southern Arabia by way of Aden of a fresh people who came into Upper Egypt and descended slowly towards the delta of the Nile." Snowy owls are fairly fearless. One winter I went to see them in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, which is one of their typical wintering grounds. In that area, they are at the top of their food chain. I saw one almost pure white male perched on the top of a utility pole. I walked up to the pole, and the owl simply stared down at me, acting not at all frightened or concerned. I don't know how much longer the snowy owls will stick around in our area. While I think it is wonderful how much joy and excitement they are giving to both birders and non-birders, part of me feels that they would be much better off in their typical home in the tundra and other areas in the sparsely populated north. This species is not used to hunting in cities, and some of the birds in this eruption have been hit by vehicles. One of the reasons they hang around airports is that an airport is one of the few vast treeless expanses in many highly developed metropolitan areas, resembling their home in the tundra. Airport runways are not safe places for owls, putting both the owls and the airplanes at risk. Likewise, looking for rodents in cities is not a healthy practice for the owls, because rodenticides can get into the system of an owl who might capture a slowly moving rat who has ingested poison. Regardless, I wish the snowy owls well, and I hope they have a safe trip home.